So as I have briefed that in the first period, one function I am creating here, function every in Python, def by the def keyword, function will be created and keep a name of a function. Then function always must be having parenthesis. Okay, that is very important. So this is the function name, and in Python, not only in Python, in every languages, the parenthesis, then after function name, that is very compulsory. These parentheses are called brackets. Then after colon, colon is very compulsory. Okay. Then whatever the code you want to write under this click function. Okay. So whenever you call that function, that will be okay. Whenever you call that function, that whatever the code you have written inside of that function, so that will be executed. In the previous classes already I have briefed that what is function and what is the difference between function and method. Many times I have discussed in the previous classes. So I hope that the students, you can check back your knowledge, what is the difference between function and method. For your simple understanding, once I want to recap what is function and method. Simply, I have briefed in the previous classes. Function is nothing but a simple code. Some block of code will be executed. Uh, that will be stored with a name of with a name. So whenever you call that name, that function will be executed. Okay, it is not function never be part of any class. Okay, but method, always method, it is also a function, but it is always part of a class. Many times I told in the previous classes. If you forgotten, please remember your knowledge. Okay, that is very important here. So under this function name click. Okay, I told you that every time we need to keep the brackets, that is, they are called the parentheses and then column. That is very important. Under this, whatever the code you want to write, that is very important. So if I want to write a simple code like this event dot widget, okay, every code has a meaning. We need to understand that. Okay, event dot widget. What do you mean of this? I will explain. And c get. Okay, within this, keep a string like what text. Okay, so in the previous classes, while I was at the time of I was conducting the data types, I told you many times different data types like what string, okay, float, and integer, and complex numbers, and boolean values. All they are the part of data types in Python. That is the part of your data type classes. So that moment I told you that how to represent the string in Python. The string can be represented in Python in either in double quotation marks and single quotation marks. Many times I told you that here I have represented this text as in double quotation marks. Okay. So first let me this code, what do you mean of this code? That is very important to understand ourselves. Okay, because in programming, every line of code, why I am writing this code, for what purpose? Here I told you that this line of code written for what? To create the application window, to create the main window. Okay, so you cut this and you cut and keep it just above this, because paste. Why? Because these line, a few lines of code, 5 lines of code, just I have written to create the main application window. And then after, if I really want to create the calculator, which will do the simple calculations like what your simple addition and subtraction, division, and multiplication. So little bit of code we need to write under part of a function. Many times I told you that always the function will be created with the def keyword. Then after one name we need to keep. Then after brackets, very compulsory. Just there as a suffix. Okay. after name of the function, then colon is very important, and then whatever the lines of code you will write, that is very important. Okay. So event dot widget c get text. What do you mean of this? This means what? That is very important. You need to understand that. Why? Because what no? Here, try to understand event is this here an object. Okay. Event is an object. That object, whenever a button is clicked. So next I will create a button. So this event is the object. Okay. This object will be passed when a button is clicked. Okay. So event dot widget refers to, so event dot widget. Okay. Event is an object. So this line of code, what we will do, we will keep in a small variable. Okay. We will keep a variable for this also. Why? Because every time I don't need to call this line of code. So I will keep this. Why? Because text is a string here. So simply you pass this text. Okay. So now this total code part of that is stored in this variable text. Okay. Why it is giving error? Because what this is the object. Okay. So that object not defined. Well, whenever you keep the mouse here, see, it is underlined, means clearly it is mentioning here, event is not defined. So we need to define later. Okay. So that's why it is giving error. Next, what if condition, I am using the if condition here. If text is equal to, text means this variable. Okay. This variable stores this line of code. Same thing I have done here also while creating this line of code. So I don't want to call this line of code again and again. That's why I have stored within this root variable. Every time if I want to create the attributes of the main window, title, geometry, configure, main configure only. Okay, these attributes. So that moment I need not to call tk.tk each and every time. I will call root dot. Okay, root dot title, geometry, configure. And this root dot, where is this main loop means to run the application window, to run the main application window until the user closes, until user closes. Generally what happened, to run the main application window until user closes. So generally what happens, whenever we run any application, one window will be open. That window at the extreme top right corner, you can simply find that on cross mark means close button and maximize, minimize buttons you will get. So this application like this root dot main loop function, what it does, it will run the application until user closes. Okay, it is up to you. So if you close that, application will be closed. Otherwise, the application will be continuously running. Okay. So next, what within this period of 40 minutes, then after, if the June will be closed, so class will be stopped. Generally 8 to 2 periods, 8 to 9:20. Okay. So now if anything is left, the class wouldn't be able to continue. The project will not be able to complete it. We will discuss in coming Saturday. Means we 3 days for a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Next, if text is equal here, what I'm doing here, keep small means empty. This is called empty. So there's no any data I have kept here. Okay. Now, then after what I'm doing here, if condition I have used under this if, exceptions I am using. Okay. try and okay, try black I am using here. I hope that in the previous classes I have explained all the try and except blacks. Okay, in Java it is called try and catch blocks. Okay, they are the part of your exceptions. Okay, so now under this try block, the code what I'm writing here. So result is equal to eval. Inside of this code I have written, I will explain every code one by one. Entry dot get. Okay, what is the meaning of this? First of all, we need to understand every code. Otherwise it is very difficult to understand the programming. Understood that. Under this try block, how many lines of code I want to write here? So first let me finish the lines of code I want to keep inside of this try block. This is one code I have written, and one more code I want to write here, delete, entry dot delete. Okay, entry dot delete. Okay, dot tk dot end. TK, I told you that TK is what, that is the short name, alias name for your tkinter library. TK dot end, or close this one. Okay, this much of code, and one more line I will write, and we will try to understand this total code, because then after I need to every time try block will be followed by except block. Okay, if I have started the if condition, the condition may have some more line of code like if else statements, and finally else. Okay, so we need to understand all this code. Okay, and then we need to add somewhat buttons. Okay, the buttons, that button, what it does, the button. Okay, so one more line of code here, entry dot insert, entry dot insert. Okay, and same tk dot end, capital letter. I will explain what is the meaning of this code. Yes, sir. So now what happened? These three lines I have written inside of try. So now we can call this as try block. Okay. Every try block will follow one more block. That is very compulsory. In Java, it is called try catch blocks. In Java, in Python, it is called try except. Okay. Except block. So I don't want to write the lines here. First of all, you would be somewhat confusion why the code he has written here. That is very important. If I want to write the code continuously, that is no, it is my responsibility to explain at least, because the time is now what, 8:44, means 15 minutes, and 9:20 the class will be closed. So we can write some more code, then after we will discuss. Okay, because time is left 15 and 20, 30 minutes, half an hour is there almost. So next. So why, see, you need to, whenever uh, simple errors are there, like what, here, one red mark is there. So as a programmer, you need to find here, whenever you keep the mouse here, see, expected colon. So the Python interpreter, it will help you a lot. It will help you a lot whenever you keep it indicating that these are the errors. These are here. I am keeping the mouse here. tk dot end. Whenever you keep here expected expression, statements must be separated by new lines or semicolon. So maybe one more semicolon it is missed here, and here colon is missed here. Here colon is missed here. Understood that? So try block always must be suffixed with colon. So now there is no any red mark here. So what is the meaning of this one? Why it is getting error here? Okay. So that moment, see what happened here. Let us see. So this is also except black. It is also we are getting expected colon. These are very simple mistakes, but in the programming, if you forget them and you will get troubles, your code will not be executed. Your code will not be executed. So why this entry, these two lines of code underlining means whenever you keep the mouse here, event is not defined. I told you that we need to define that event. Okay. I told you that this is an object for you. Okay. This is what and why this is. Okay. These are very simple mistakes. You feel that, but these are not simple mistakes. If your code, you will not proper, you will not write properly. So that moment you will get errors. Okay. Now see, it is expecting some word value here. See, expected expression. So somewhat. So now what happened here? A delete is a function of this entry object. So many times in the previous programming classes, I told you that object will be created for a class. What purpose? So I told you that many times in the classes, methods. If a class has the methods, the class methods will be accessed by creating the objects. Okay. By creating the methods can be accessed in two ways. One is that as a class method, otherwise as an object method. So here entry is an object. So that entry object will be used to, okay, access these functions. Delete is a function, insert is a function. Okay. So delete here 0. Okay. So this, if I will not keep 0 here, what happened? It is underlining here. Now delete is a function. This is the starting bracket part of your parenthesis. This is part of that moment. What I did the mistake here, if I keep the like this, so the error is here because what you know, you try to understand. This is the end of the function function bracket, end bracket. This is the starting bracket. So what is the use of this? So no need. Okay. Simple mistakes. Now it becomes a function, starting bracket, end bracket. So, but it is expecting some word value here. Understood that? So that value we need to mention here. Why 0? I will explain why 0. Okay. But now here also one mistake. So we will understood why all these little bit of errors we are getting here by writing the total code under the except black. So let me check your root, this application window, it is being marked as red marked. We need to check back the total code. Whenever we write that, that moment we will get the clarity. Okay. Now under the except block, entry dot delete. Okay. Same code entry dot delete is a function. I told you that that is part of a function will be called, okay, as a here this function delete is being called as an object. Okay. Simply you can call this as a method because whenever for any class, any object is created, so that functions will be called as methods. Okay, delete is a method now that is being called with the object entry. Okay, entry dot delete. So within this 0, okay, 0 is one value I have passed here. Then tk dot end, same code, small, tk dot end is capital here. Okay, this much of code I have written under the except block. So now one more code we will write here, entry dot insert. Why I need to insert here? Now inside of this insert method, tk dot end, okay, comma text. So if I complete this total code if I have the time, I will explain in this period. Otherwise, I will explain in Saturday. Okay, no issue, because our intention is I want to create a GUI based calculator. GUI means graphical user interface based calculator in Python by using of tkinter library. Okay, don't worry. Simply by step by step, we'll try to understand all the code, and finally our function will be run by this root.main loop, and some buttons I will create over the button whenever I want to click. If add button is there, if I click on the add button, addition will be done. And otherwise, one list box one we can create. Within this list box, options are there, like what plus, minus, add, subtraction, division. Whenever whatever the option you will choose, accordingly the function will be done. Okay, that is what our coding skills, how to write the coding. Okay, so now what happened? So this once try block started inside of if condition. So this if condition to be closed. Okay, if condition once it is started, it is to be closed with either with elif or finally else. Okay, every if statement that is to be terminated. No, so after except block, whatever the except block I have written. So under this if condition, I need to terminate this code like elif. Elif means what? In the previous classes, I told you that if condition, how if condition functions. In the previous classes, I had told you that why if condition will be used. If a condition is not executed properly, so if it is wrong, so it checks for next condition. Okay. And second condition not properly executed means second condition also wrong. So it looks for last condition. So that may be the else. Okay. If that these two conditions are not executed properly, then next else. Okay. Like what So in the previous classes, I have explained while we were discussing if else condition statements and loops, while and for loops. Okay. So if you have forgotten, so you need to refresh your knowledge very well, because programming is what continuous practice. It doesn't mean to say that I want to read only theoretical topics, and I want to engage myself in listening of music and going of cricket, playing of cricket and watching of the movies, and I want to spend my time like a roadside Romeo, and I want to waste my time. So it is not suit for the programming. Really, if you want to become a good programmer, you need to study theoretical lot on lot topics, and that moment you need to do the real-time programming. You real time mean, what do you mean of real time? You are studying the theory here, and you at that moment you need to do the practice. If you don't have any laptop, don't feel that we can do the right coding, very good coding in the mobile also. Many times I told you that no need of the laptop to practice the coding. Nowadays, so many good apps in the mobiles. Okay, PyDroid 3 for Python and JBDroid for Java, for CVs, and so many Android apps are there. By that, we can do the code practicing in Python. Okay, Python, not only Python in mobile. Okay, if you don't feel that, if you don't have any laptop, don't worry yourself. Okay, no need to worry about that. So elif next second condition, elif text is equal to what? So if first condition, this condition is not true, so the next second condition to be checked, that is what? Elif text. Same under this what under this double quotation marks, whatever I have kept, that will be considered as a string. Okay, why it is giving error, that is what the elif block, that is to be terminated with the colon. Here, why it is getting error, here also you have missed that colon. So here we are getting here what somewhat is getting why this if statement, it is not terminated with the colon. Understood that? Then after, what is the here? This statement, see why it is, we need to complete the statement, why it is giving error. Okay, this is what operator we need to keep here. Okay, now this equal to and double equal to. Many times I told you that while I was conducting the operators classes. Okay, many classes I have conducted over operators. So many assignment operators, logical operators, and generally used arithmetic operators. So is equal to is somewhat different, and double equal to assignment operator. Okay. And inside of this double quotation marks is equal to. So now it is giving error. So we will check back later why it is giving error. Okay. Now under this try block, somewhat line of code I have written. Under this except block, I have written some line of code. And after this if statement, next condition to be checked if else statement, else if. In Java it is called if else. Here elif, you don't keep any space here. And if you keep if else here, I think it will not accept. Why? Because it is if else, it is in Java. Okay, in Python we need to write elif always. That is it. You can simply identify it. Don't worry about yourself, because no, that is syntax format. Syntax, I told you that many times. What is syntax in programming? Syntax means what the way you need to write the coding as per the whomever have designed the Python. Okay, whomever have designed the Python, accordingly you need to write the code. That is called your what syntax. If you violate the syntax, it will give the errors. Who will give the errors? Your code will be checked by the translator program. Every language has a translator program. Many times I told you that translator program is nothing but is program which is inbuilt inside of the built inside of the program. Once you have installed any program, it may be C, C++, Java, Python, any programming language, whatever the code you are writing, that is to be checked by a translator. Okay. So because as a human being, you write the code, but the computer, the machine, it needs to understand that code. And this language, whatever you have written, like your text, English like text, okay, keyboard language, this is called keyboard language. And as a human being, you can understand this keyboard language. This is called your source language, source code. This is called your source code, because this is called your keyboard language by using of alphabets and somewhat digits 0 to 9 and somewhat special character. You can, as a human being, you can understand that, but the machine computer, the microprocessor will not be able to understand. So the microprocessor will only understand only the machine language, that is called object code, means 0, 1 binary bits, otherwise binary digit 0, 1. So that is machine language. It has so many names: binary language, 0, 1, binary bits. Okay, the machine means the microprocessor will understand only that language only. So somewhat translator, it is a part of the your programming language. It is for Python, here it is called interpreter. For C language, it is called your that is compiler. Okay, compiler. Okay, compiler. Sometimes maybe I am the human being. I may forget the words. Okay, because okay, C is a compiler-based program. C++, Java, all are compiler-based programs. I don't want to get into that. What is the difference between compiler and interpreter? Many times I have briefed you. Okay, however, I want to give simple focus here. What is the role of compiler here? Sorry, interpreter, Python interpreter. What it does, let us check that. Interpreter, it checks line by line, but it checks for the first line. What is our first line? It checks because these two lines are the comment section. So the Python interpreter, it will skip these two line of code. Understood that? Then it comes to the third line. Okay, it checks that line of code. 10 minutes left here. 9 is there. So within the 10 minutes, the class will be closed. And because this is the free software, as I told you that it is not paid version. Zoom is not paid version for me. So it will give the time for me 40 minutes per period. After the 40 minutes, the app will disconnect. You will get into the class again by simply clicking on the link, Zoom link, class link. That is the lifelong link for me for the classes. And once you have gotten the Zoom link, you can lifelong, that is the same link. As I told you that under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation, I will conduct the classes, free classes over all the programming language. I am the only instructor here. So randomly, I will pick up a topic. Either it may be any language. Already I have completed Python, Java almost 85%, and C somewhat I have completed C++, and some SQL I have conducted some classes, and JavaScript also I have conducted, which are the part of your front-end programming, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. These three languages mainly, they are mostly used as part of your front-end programming. Okay. And as I told you that for the backend programming like Python, Java, that can be used. Okay. So main intention is what I want to enhance the programming skills in the students, especially whomever residing in the rural areas who don't have much facilities, network facilities. They are really too away of the um, their residing areas. Like so many states are there, like Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, and they are residing in the steep mountains. As a soldier, I have kept 30 years service in the Indian Army Signal Corps as a technical engineer. And that moment I spent my life in that steep mountains. That moment I found the students, they were getting a lot of difficulty while coming to the classes by getting down from the mountain area. And in the Rajasthan desert area, Thar, also the students, they were going for the classes by traveling a lot of distance without chappals. Okay, so that moment as a soldier, I have understood all these conditions. So at that moment, I have taken a decision. So whenever I come on retirement, I want to give support to education, especially I was an engineer in the army and I was an instructor, and I had trained a lot of diploma students. I taught them a lot of computer networks and programming skills. So that knowledge I don't want to lose that knowledge whenever I come on retirement. So if I will share that knowledge with the students, that will be so helpful to them. So I started to conduct the free coding classes since 2023 under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation. So by that, I want to enhance the programming skills in all languages. It doesn't mean programming is very interesting if you are really very interested, and that is very useful to you, because nowadays in the market, all of you machine, that is what your artificial intelligence, that boom is there, and Python boom is there. Okay, so under the machine learning and data science and deep learning, So many you can get lot. So nowadays AIDS and AIML, these two streams are, I think, they are more significant. They are very more streams, means valuable streams in computer science engineering, AI, artificial intelligence, data science, and machine learning. So, so the Python has so much of importance in the market. So as a programmer, in comparison to other streams like what your civil engineering and electronics and electrical engineering and electronics and communication engineering. So really, if you keep your good efforts in the computer science engineering, surely you will get a good job and you will get a lot of good remuneration. For that, what you know, these MNC companies, they will expect from you, you will speak in a fluency of English, so that you need to keep practice in the coding by understanding the theoretical topics, what you know, the theory once you are reading the theory, and at that time keep practice beside of that. Okay, while you are writing the code, keep practice. Keep practice and keep practice. Without the practice, if just you want to read the topics theoretically, that will not be, that is not adequate for you. You need to understand the each line of code very, as I told you that I have written, why I have written. Okay, I have given one structure here. This is the structure of the intention is what we need to create a calculator. That is calculator, whether it is a GUI based calculator, otherwise CUI based calculator. I told you that GUI, graphical user. Each line of each line you need to understand what is GUI. In the interview, if you say like that, sir, this my project is GUI calculator, and that interviewer asked that what is GUI. If you are not able to explain what is GUI, what do you mean of the CSC? Are you the CSC engineer? You don't know what is GUI? Okay. And as I told you, the tkinter. What do you mean of this tkinter? I told you this is library. What do you mean of library? Simply, he will raise the question for you. Understand why this TK you have written here? I told you that, sir, TK for it is a short name for this tkinter, so that in further I don't want to call tkinter. Just I will call this TK. Okay. And what is this? Where is this code I have written for this? What do you mean of this tk.tk? You need to explain this. TK is this, that is the library name, sir. I told you that TK is what the short name for the tkinter. So I don't want to call tkinter as every time. So I have mentioned here alias name as TK. Here you can use your name. It doesn't mean okay. And here, what do you mean of this? You need to explain. As I told you that what every library has so many classes. That classes means predefined code will be written and the code will be stored as file, and every class has so many files, and the files will be called as a library. In Java it is called framework. Okay, that framework has in Java it is called uh, okay, not framework, we can call it as what directories. C in C++, they are called directories. Okay. Okay, one term will be used. I told you that once I switch into one program to another program, that words we will forget. Okay. It doesn't mean, simply you can understand that. Like I will explain. Okay. So no, next code, how much of time is 10 minutes? So we will need to finish somewhat code here. If this is the statement I have written here, then after, so why it is giving error? Because I told you that colon here. Okay. Still there's no any, so there's no any means. What do you mean of this? Why I told you that this operator I have used not equal to. This is called what your assignment operator. Okay. That is what you need to understand. That is what very. So now this is what text Y we are getting. It is not defined. We need to define. Here, this text is not defined. This entry is not defined. We need to define them later. Okay, next. Elif statement, if statement, elif statement, and then else statement. Okay. What do you mean this else? Means finally, if this if statement is not executed, next statement. Under this if statement, one try block is there, except block is there. Without the except block, only try block will not be worked out. Every try block must follow the except block. Second condition. Next, if these two conditions are not executed, then what happens? Final statement, final condition, else. Okay. Else for what? So, column. Under this else statement, entry dot insert, same entry dot insert. What do you mean of this? I told you that entry is an object. Object will be used to access the methods. So that class methods, they are being accessed by creating the objects. I told you that every class methods can be accessed in two ways, either creating the object, otherwise class methods. Either object in Java, they are called public methods. Okay.